Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be episode 221 for you guys today. We're going to kick things off discussing the world of football inside the NFL world, and I'll be sharing my AFC predictions for the 2025-26 regular season. So I'll be sharing all four of my division prediction winners in this segment, starting off with the AFC East. In first place, I have the Buffalo Bills going 13-4. Second place, I have the New England Patriots going 9-8. Third place, I have the Miami Dolphins going 7-10. And fourth place, I also have the New York Jets going 7-10 this year. But taking a look at my first place winner, the Buffalo Bills, they're riding a wave of momentum based off of what they did and having their success that they had in the AFC last NFL season. I mean, Josh Allen won his first MVP. And the Buffalo Bills went all the way to the AFC Championship last year in the NFL season. And this offense was on fire. Along with Josh Allen winning his first MVP, the offense averaged 30 points per game, despite Josh Allen not having a true number one wide receiver, a part of that Buffalo Bills offense throughout the duration of the NFL season last year. And then everyone on the offensive line that started last year is returning, so it's always good to have your starting five on the offensive line coming back. And they only allowed 14 sacks throughout the NFL season last year. That's pretty remarkable, very impressive to make sure that your MVP franchise quarterback Josh Allen is not taking punishment behind the offensive line throughout the season. And their defense was in the middle of the pack, very mid in defensive categories. I'm hoping that for their sake, their defense can improve as the season goes on. But this roster is basically the same. So if you have the same roster, why wouldn't you guys have the same amount of success that you had a year ago? They upgraded at the edge rusher position. In my opinion, I think Joey Bosa being brought in after he was released by the Los Angeles Chargers is an upgrade over this type of production that we're getting from Von Miller at this particular point of his NFL season. They released Von Miller and then picked up Joey Bosa. But the Bills will have several tests throughout this NFL season. Their opener is against the Baltimore Ravens at home on Sunday Night Football. They have the Chiefs, the Bucs. They got to play on the road against the Texans. They play the Bengals, the Eagles, and still mixed in with some AFC East divisional matchups. This is not going to be a cakewalk for the Buffalo Bills, but I think they are very capable of going 13-4, winning this AFC East division once again. Then goes to my second place team in the New England Patriots. I think the New England Patriots could be a sleeper team this NFL season. They went 4-13 last year. I think they can improve significantly and go 9-8 and finish second place in the AFC East this upcoming NFL season. It's going to be interesting to see how this team plays out though. Mike Vrabel is back in New England and he's now their new head coach. I think Drake May is going to have a strong sophomore season at the quarterback position. They upgraded their offense. I really do like the first round selection. Will Campbell, offensive lineman from LSU, is going to be protecting Drake May for a long time in New England up front. They brought in Morgan Moses as well on the offensive line. 1-2 punches at the running back position now with Stevenson and Travion Henderson. If you guys haven't seen the highlights that he had against the Washington Commanders, the speed, the burst, the athleticism that he showed at Ohio State is going to be on full display when he plays for the New England Patriots this year in the backfield. And I do like their secondary a lot. I do. I think Christian Gonzalez I think he's already one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League, but I think he can elevate himself to be a top 3 cornerback. And I like they brought in Carlton Davis from the Detroit Lions. Marcus Jones is still at cornerback, and their safeties, Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers, I think they're still good safeties in the secondary as well. It's going to take a year or two for this team to be a full-on heavyweight contender in the AFC, but going from 4-13 to 9-8 this season, I think is actually achievable for the New England Patriots. Again, this is going to be my sleeper team, but I think they could go 9-8 and possibly knock on the door to the possibility of getting one of those final wild card spots in the AFC East. But look out for them. Third place, of course, will be the Miami Dolphins going at 7-10. I believe this could be the last year before the Miami Dolphins completely blow things up in South Beach in Miami. I mean, Tua's health is the biggest concern surrounding this Miami Dolphins team year in and year out, and you're paying him over $200 million to be your franchise quarterback. And he's actually only played in one full season, only been healthy for one full season in his first 4 years in the National Football League. He was unhealthy last year, and that's why the Miami Dolphins offense went down and had a downward year. They were unwatchable. And the defense, it was underrated in 2024, only allowed 21 points per game. I think that's pretty solid at the NFL level. Very good at defending on third down and in the red zone. Unfortunately, you just lost your best corner in Jalen Ramsey. I know you got Mika Fitzpatrick in the deal, but Jalen Ramsey, still an elite cornerback in the National Football League. I'm looking at their front seven as edge rushers. They will get the duo of Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips back as their edge rushers together. But at the end of the day, for the Dolphins, it all comes down to Tua Tagovailoa's health and the fact that they can't beat teams, or they struggle to beat teams that are contending teams or above 500. This has been something that the Miami Dolphins have not been able to do since Mike McDaniels, their head coach, has been in town in South Beach controlling the team. Their mentality is it's always good to look strong against the teams that you're supposed to beat, the teams that you're supposed to blow out. Yeah, it's good to have the creative plays, players in motion, things like that. But if you can't beat the teams that are above 500 or contending teams that you'll have to see in AFC playoff contention, if you play against them in the AFC playoffs, you can't beat them then. What's the point of trying to establish yourself as a contender? And I feel like the mentality that Mike McDaniel has established in Miami has been soft all along. His win-loss record against teams above 500 speaks for itself. Again, 7-10 is the best I see the Dolphins doing. And honestly, if they don't get things right this year, I think they're going to blow it all up and go into rebuild mode. But the Jets at 7-10, I have a lot of question marks surrounding the New York Jets this season. Life after Aaron Rodgers, released Devontae Adams. Now you're starting Justin Fields, who you brought over in free agency, and you're bringing in Aaron Glenn, former defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, to be your head coach in New York. So I want to see if this defense can continue to still be solid. They had a solid secondary, and pass rush is still pretty solid and pretty good with the New York Jets. Now, it's just too many teams that the New York Jets are going to have to run into this year, and overall much better than them. I mean, looking at their schedule, they have to play the Bills twice. They play the Bucs, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Ravens. And they lost key players like Devontae Adams, DJ Reed in free agency. Question marks of how Justin Fields will play out in New York. I know we've seen flashes of what he could do starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. And what Aaron Glenn could do in his first year as the head coach with the New York Jets. So 7-10 to me seems fair. That's an upgrade of what they did last year, going 5-12. So I think 7-10 is pretty reasonable for the New York Jets this year. But now let's move on to the AFC North. So in the AFC North, I'm gonna go first place, the Baltimore Ravens. I have them finishing 13-4. Second place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing at 11-6. Third place, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers finishing at 8-9. And in fourth place, I have the Cleveland Browns finishing at 4-13. Now, my predictions could be wrong because the AFC North is always a hard-fought division in the AFC. But Ravens are definitely winning this division. I got them going 13-4. I'm really high on the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is their best chance to win and bring a Lombardi Trophy to Baltimore with Lamar Jackson starting at the helm for them. Look, they had a very strong offseason. They acquired DeAndre Hopkins, which could be really a key. He could be a really key asset on the offense, the veteran receiver. Jair Alexander was a steal in the month of June to put him in that loaded secondary that the Baltimore Ravens have. I love the draft picks that they had. Malachi Stark, safety from Georgia in the first round. Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall in the second round. They have the unstoppable running back duo of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. They piled up a lot of rushing yards. They brought a lot of success to that RPO system that they had running out in Baltimore last year. They had a top 5 offense last year. They executed well on third down and executed well in the red zone. The front seven is going to be very scary for the Baltimore Ravens. I think the secondary is going to be top-notch. Their defense actually turned around and got better as the season went on in the second half of the season. Now it's time for them to turn it all around and finally bring a trophy back to Baltimore. They haven't done that since the 2012, 2013 days when Joe Flacco, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed were still on the team. But they still have a lot of tough tests during the season. They got to go on the road against the Buffalo Bills for that opener on Sunday Night Football. They got to play the Lions at home, on the road against the Chiefs. Got to play the Texans, Rams at home. They go on the road to play the Minnesota Vikings, on the road to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers, mixed with the divisional games that could give them some problems. You know, the hard-fought games between the Ravens and the Steelers, the Bengals, the Browns. Everybody in the AFC North always finds a way to beat each other up every single year. But I just think the Baltimore Ravens are going to be very good this year. 13-4 seems very reasonable. Now, for the Cincinnati Bengals, I think 11-6 seems reasonable too. The trio of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins all back together again and locked up on long-term contracts in Cincinnati. I think the offense is going to be thriving. And Jamar Chase is coming off that Triple Crown year where he led the league in receiving yards, led the league in catches, led the league in passing catches. Passing catches that resulted in touchdowns. And Joe Burrow was putting up MVP numbers last year, and there is several question marks for this team. Can they start off fast? Because we know the Cincinnati Bengals start off slow, 1-3, 0-3, 1-4. You can't start off like this NFL season. They're going to be trying to play catch up, fighting for another wild card spot. And the finale and the final 2-3 weeks of the NFL season, it could come up short. Can't do that this year. They got to start off fast. That's a question mark. Can they prove that there's still threats? They haven't been to an AFC championship in a few years. Haven't been in a Super Bowl in a few years. Is the defense going to be able to stop high-powered offenses? And how is Zach Taylor going to respond, knowing in the back of his head he's on the hot seat in Cincinnati? These are all the questions that we need answered for the Cincinnati Bengals this NFL season. But I'm very confident they could go 11-6 as long as the defense plays solid or decent at best. And if the high-powered Cincinnati Bengals offense will show up to play if healthy. And they do have the 14th toughest schedule. I like their matchups. I think they split with the Ravens, they split with the Steelers, and they sweep the Browns in divisional play this year. Steelers going 8-9. I think this is fair this year. No 500 mark for Mike Tomlin this year. There's just no juice in this offense on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, are you really relying on a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers to bring you success? Jaylen Warren at the running back position, who has not started a full slate of games in his NFL career just yet. And other than DK Metcalf, this wide receiver room is very mid. And I can see them running a lot of double tight end sets this year with Jonnu Smith and Pat. Best part of their team is the defense. How many years in a row is the defense going to carry the damn team? There has to be balance if you want to be a contending Super Bowl team in Pittsburgh. I mean, yes, how many times can Mike Tomlin go 500? He's nearly done this for nearly 20 years. But is that really good enough to compete in the AFC? No. Are you really content with locking up a wild card spot and not winning a damn playoff game? No. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2016. And it's not really an upgrade at the quarterback position if you really think about it. I mean, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields were productive at best. Aaron Rodgers' stats, all of his stats were mostly empty calorie stats and garbage time. And he only piled up 5 wins, went 5-12 with the New York Jets, that he had a much better roster with last year compared to what he's going to have in Pittsburgh this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So, will the offense be able to convert on third down? Will they be effective in the red zone? You got to be able to do these things if you want to compete in the AFC. To me, their agenda is just all jacked up for one of the most prestigious teams in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers have won a total of 6 Super Bowls, tied with the most of all time with the New England Patriots. They should want more, but I think 8-9 is going to be the record that the Pittsburgh Steelers earn this NFL season. And in last place is going to be the Cleveland Browns going 4-13. Last place is only the right answer. One of the worst offenses in the league last season. Bad offensive line. A total of 6 quarterbacks are still on the roster right now. Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Tyler Hunt, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Well, we know Deshaun Watson ain't going to play, but still, that's a total of 6. And first 6 games, they could easily go 0-6. I mean, looking at the schedule, they play the Bengals, got to go on the road against the Baltimore Ravens, play the Packers at home, on the road against the Detroit Lions, at home against the Vikings, on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers in divisional play. That could easily be an 0-6 start for the Cleveland Browns. And I really believe that they will lean towards competing for as long as they can, knowing that the roster isn't up to par, and based off of that Travis Hunter trade that they had this year, they have 2 first-round picks to look forward to in the 2026 NFL Draft. So we'll see what the Cleveland Browns look like, but 4-13 at best is what I see them doing this year. Moving on to the AFC South, I think this is going to be the worst division in the AFC, respectfully. First place, I have the Houston Texans going 10-7. Second place, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going 7-10. Third place, I have the Indianapolis Colts going 7-10. And in fourth place, I have the Tennessee Titans going 4-13. Now, the Texans, C.J. Stroud was sacked over 50 times last year. Offensive line is a concern. The offensive side of the ball could be questionable because C.J. Stroud is, the weapons, he has Nico Collins, but other than that, that's not really something to really look forward to. We don't know when Tank Dell is coming back. Stephon Diggs went to the New England Patriots during free agency. And Christian Kirk is not an upgrade. I think that's a downgrade over having Stephon Diggs in the lineup. So the offensive line have concerns there. And they got Nick Chubb, but other than that, the offense have really had no upgrades. And they still have a good front seven. Their defense is really solid. Fourth in the league. They finished fourth in the league last year in sacks, and one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and Derek Stingley. But they have the 8th hardest schedule with question marks on the offensive side of the ball, especially on their offensive line. How much can they truly protect C.J. Stroud from punishment all year long? The receiving room is not as strong as I expect. I think their defense is going to carry them in the beginning part of the season until the offense finds their footing and they can get into sync and into rhythm. But I think they could possibly go 7-1 in divisional play based off of how bad the AFC South is. That's just the ceiling of how many games I think they can win the AFC South alone. Second place, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is a new day in Jacksonville. They did go 4-13 last year. They did clean house with their former head coach and Doug Peterson, no longer in Jacksonville. And Liam Cohen, former offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is now the new head coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars and made a huge splash in the NFL draft, moving up to take Travis Hunter, second overall in 2025 NFL draft, even surrendering some draft capital for the sake of the future to possibly get a generational talent that could play two sides of the ball in Travis Hunter. So I like the move there. Defense needs to improve. Horrible at defending the pass. The secondary was horrible. Front seven cannot get home, sacking the quarterback on the defense, and they weren't good enough to stop the run. So overall, if you can't do those three things, you're a bottom tier defense. They need to improve that if they want to go in the right direction this upcoming NFL season. If Liam Cohen could bring anything, the best out of Trevor Lawrence, then there could be better days for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But he did help bring the best out of Baker Mayfield and Tampa. 7-10 seems likely that, but I still think they need to improve on both sides of the ball. And last but not least will be the Indianapolis Colts. I think they'll finish at 7-10 as well. Final year, or third in this. Final year before the Colts blow everything up. I think this is their last chance. Anthony Richardson, chance to prove he's worthy of being a starting quarterback here. If he loses the starting job to Daniel Jones, it just makes things worse in Indianapolis. And Shane Steichen is on the hot seat as well as a head coach. I think he's on the hot seat. But the offense does have potential on that side of the ball. They got Jonathan Taylor at the running back position, Michael Pittman Jr. at wide receiver, Josh Downs at receiver, Tyler Warren, rookie tight end from Penn State. He's a gadget player. I hope they use him correctly in the Indianapolis offense. The man is a good pass catcher, a good run blocker, but the defense needs to be better. The QB room is the factor of who gets to start between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, of how far this Indianapolis Colts team goes. I think both are mid at this particular point right now, respectfully, and they finish 7-10. Then looking at the Titans, they're going to go in last place. Better days are coming, though. Cam Ward, new franchise quarterback, a massive upgrade over Will Levis. Cam Ward is a competitor and will push the Titans to be a competitive team. He's going to want the best out of them on a weekly basis. So I think this team will improve as time goes on. They did add Ty Lockett, wide receiver, as a playmaker alongside Calvin Ridley. But I want to see who is going to step up on the defensive side of the ball. They were one of the worst defenses in the league, but stats don't really tell the full story because the offensive turnovers put the defense in bad situations last year, and they allowed 5.2 yards per play, finished second in yards per game. L'Jarius Sneed, star player, only played 5 games last year at the quarterback position. So I don't think they're ready to flip the script just yet. They could be competitive in some tight ball games, but 4-13 seems fair. And the main event for the AFC, the best division in football, in the AFC West. And first place, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to finish 12-5. Second place, I'll go with the Denver Broncos. They'll finish at 11-6 again. Third place, I'll go with the Los Angeles Chargers, finishing at 10-7. And in fourth place, I'll go with the Las Vegas Raiders, finishing at 7-10. I think this division has all the key and elements to be the best division in football, either that or the NFC North this year. But I think the Chiefs, in order to remain the kings of the AFC conference alone, let alone this division, the Chiefs has to be well balanced on both ends of the ball. The defense truthfully carried that team throughout most of the NFL season last year. It has to be balanced of the offense being as good as the defense. And I can't believe the defense was actually better than a Patrick Mahomes-driven offense last year. It needs to be more balanced. But things can get more interesting in this division. They are chasing their 9th straight division title, but the division has gotten so much better. There's elite coaches all around the board in the AFC West. There's Andy Reid, there's Sean Payton, there's Jim Harbaugh, there's Pete Carroll. I mean, the Chargers and Broncos are on the rise very quickly. This is not going to be an easy division for the Chiefs to win this year. So there's actually a lot of question marks for the Chiefs. They played 10 out of their 17 games are against playoff teams from a year ago with basically the same roster. So what's the offense going to look like? Can the offense click? What if the offense doesn't click? What if Patrick Mahomes gets rolling with weapons like Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy? What if Travis Kelce has a bounce-back season from one of his worst seasons in his NFL career last year? What if they can get Hollywood Brown going in the offense? Can they get back to the AFC Championship and still show why they are the kings of the AFC, let alone the kings of the AFC West? So there's going to be a lot of question marks for the Kansas City Chiefs to answer for this upcoming NFL season. Then with the Denver Broncos, I'm excited to see how the Broncos will turn out this season. They went 11-6 last season. Bo Nix had a really good rookie season, effective with his arm and effective making plays, running the football as well. On the defensive side of the ball, this defense was elite, and they only allowed 18 points per game. Front seven piled up a total of 63 sacks last season. That was the most that any defense piled up last year. And they're good at defending the run. The secondary was elite. They had a really strong offseason. I mean, I like the additions of Evan Ingram, tight end, that they brought in from free agency. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey that they drafted in the second round of the NFL draft. Jahdae Barron, cornerback from Texas. Can you imagine Patrick Surtain playing on one side of the ball, and then you have Jahdae Barron, one of the best cornerbacks that was a part of this draft class, playing on the other side of the ball. Dre Greenlaw they brought in, Hufanga at safety. This team is going to be very scary, and I think they could give the Chiefs a run for their money. But the Chargers, they went 11-6 last year. I think they'll go 10-7 instead this year. The offense was really good, and Justin Herbert didn't have a true number one wide receiver last year, but he still finished with 23 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I expect Ladd McConkey, former wide receiver from Georgia, to have a really strong sophomore season. I like the pick that they had in the second round, Trey Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss in the second round. But the new running back duo of Amarian Hampton, running back from North Carolina, and Najee Harris in the backfield, I think that's going to be very strong. The defense was very good, finished in first in points allowed per game at 17 points allowed. Secondary played at a very high level, first at defending in the red zone. So I think they're going to have a really strong season again. And last place, I have to put the Raiders here. I mean, Pete Carroll will change the culture. And he's still in his early 70s, but still has a lot of energy that he will bring to this Raiders franchise. He was a former Super Bowl champion, former national champion at the collegiate level. Offense should be better. They bring in Geno Smith. That's a massive upgrade of what they had in Aiden O'Connell at the quarterback position. Ashton Jeanty that they just drafted at the running back position, going to be a huge upgrade. They still have Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers. Offensive line is not as strong. They allowed 50 sacks or more last year, which is a concern to me. Defense is not as strong either. I think that's a weak link that they need to make adjustments for. I think, unfortunately, they could be in danger of being swept in their own division. I think that's wild to say, but it could happen based off of how good I think the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos are going to be. They're going to want to take advantage of any divisional game that they can. They play really good opponents as well. They play the entire NFC East. They got to play their entire division. They play the Texans. So until the Raiders can show me something different, they've only had one winning season in their last 8 seasons. So until they show me something different, I believe they'll finish under 500 and finish 7-10. But that is my predictions for the AFC conference this NFL season.